Hello, my name is Spencer Cooper. I work with a company called Turnkey Mobile, and this is my Cradlepoint presentation for the Mountaineer badge. This will be the second one out of two. So for this one, for this scenario, I've chosen the customer is shopping for a cellular device that provides connectivity for an IP camera. It's on a large construction site, and the camera can't use fiber, so it needs an Ethernet connection because of the distance from the site office. So for this one, actually we've done a lot with some stuff like this before. So I wouldn't say we're experts, but I like to say we're experts. So you can use a VPN to connect to these Cradlepoints. That is most likely how you would probably connect this back. You could either do that or a tunnel. That's the way that I would have this set up, is with some kind of tunnel, or of course you can use NetCloud Manager as well. If you wanted to use NetCloud Manager to connect to these cameras, that is possible. I've actually just recently built a camera box for St. Louis, and it is set up to where I can connect to it and connect to that camera wirelessly. I just do it from NetCloud. I can just do it from the NetCloud Manager. I don't see it in my list, unfortunately, so I'm not going to be able to show off that one. I don't have any pictures of it right with me, but it does function, and it functions well. All I did was make routes from the Cradlepoint IP to the camera IP with ports, with the port numbers in them as well. It was pretty simple to set up. So if you're a technical person, it should be pretty simple for you to set up. The VPNs that Cradlepoint has, I think they've got like 4 or 5 protocols for VPNs, but the 3 that are the most used are OpenVPN, GRE, and IPsec. We didn't use a VPN on this one. You can, but we didn't. We just connected it. We just connected it with Ethernet cabling and made routes to be able to get through the Cradlepoint. So all they'd have to do is put in the public IP of the SIM card that is connected to the internet, and they should be able to get into the Cradlepoint from there, and then from there they can get to the camera. As well, it depends on the devices you have. Most of cameras today have cloud options where they would be able to look at the cameras that way, and that's how I would recommend them doing that. But this is a Cradlepoint presentation, not a VMS presentation. So let's get into some Cradlepoint stuff. They will be able to use NetCloud Manager. Like I said, they'll be able to use NetCloud Manager to view cameras from wherever they've got them hung up and wherever they've got them put up. What you would do is you'd have a camera box. You'd have a box up there, and then have the camera mounted to the box, and then you'd have a Cradlepoint wired inside of that box. You'd have power in that box, and all you're going to have to do is run power to the box to give the box power. And that's about it for this part of the presentation. We'll move on to the NetCloud Manager part right about now. So this is NetCloud Manager. This is the first screen you'll be greeted with. If I go ahead and click refresh here, it'll just take me to the first screen that it would be, and this is the same screen. This will be what you see when you log in, and like I said, unfortunately I don't have any demos really set up to be able to see it. It's this one right here. Let's see. Yeah, it might not show it, but I should be able to get in there and show you the configuration at least. So this is the dashboard of this router. There's a geo view, so I'll be able to see where this is located at geographically in the world. I don't have the location services turned on for it because we don't really use it for this application. But if you wanted to, we absolutely could. There and here you've got the interfaces as well. They're all showing disconnected. It looks like they're not actually in use at the moment. Hopefully there's not an issue with it. They're not calling me. But there's all the networks. Let me go back to that one actually real quick. There's all the networks, the WAN, the LAN, and then you've got ports. It might not show anything up in the ports. Yeah, so because it's not online, it's not going to show anything in the ports. Well, we can look at that, something like that later. Let's go ahead and go back now. Oh, wrong button. Let's go. So if I want to, let's see. If I want to configure one of these, I can. If I click on it, it'll take me back to that dashboard. But if I click on this little checkbox right here, now all these buttons up here highlight to where I can actually click on them. So what I want to do, if I want to configure this or edit it or look at the configuration for our case, we're just going to look at it. I'll click on that little checkbox and then this configuration drop down and edit. And it'll take me into this screen here. That is the configuration screen. There's more options for editing for the configuration and when you're actually directly connected to the device itself. But in this case, I'm remote, and there's still a lot of capability and a lot of features in this as well as it is right now. So let's see here. Let's see if I can find the routes I've made in here. I don't think it's in these. It's going to be in... I think it's in routes. Let's see. Here it is right here. So, the only reservation I have right now is the Sharp V. So I put an LPR camera on this specific camera box, and then there's a Bosch camera on the bottom of it. The Bosch camera didn't want to let me reserve that address, so I assigned it a static, and it should be able to see it if it's connected. Nope. Yeah, it's not. It's probably not going to show me a lot of this information because it's not actually active and on right now. But either way, this gets the point across. This is the camera, and it shows me the local IP address of it. Which this, if I was connected to this, all I'd have to do is put that IP in with Actually, nope, I'm wrong. Sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. I would put in the public IP of the SIM card. So this IP down here where my mouse is right there, where it's highlighted, that IP right there, I'd put that in there, and then colon, and the name, or the port number of the device that I'm trying to connect to. I'm trying to find, maybe it's this. Here it is. Okay, here are my port forwarding rules. So if I wanted to connect to one of these devices, let's say I want to connect to the PTZ through HTTP. So what I would do is I would take this IP down here, I'd put this into my search bar, and then I'd type :80 afterwards, and it should connect me directly to that PTZ. Same thing with the LPR. If I want to connect to the LPR, I'll just put that IP :443, and it should just take me straight through, as long as you have a VPN or some kind of tunnel set up to getting to this. As long as you have a way to get to this Cradlepoint through your network, you will be able to get to that with the method I've just showed you. There is not too much else to go over for that feature, for that capability. There's a lot of different things you can do. That is just first gear Cradlepoint connectivity. There's tons more you can do with this. So if you wanted to add multiple cameras, you can put as many in there as you want. You want to make 100 tunnel rules or 100 zone rules to get into them, you're more than welcome to do that. You can do that any day of the week. You can connect 10 cameras to one Cradlepoint if you wanted to. You're probably going to need a switch to do it, but it is definitely possible to do. Really all you'll need is the main part of this is getting a static IP on your SIM card. That'll be that is the kicker. You really need a static IP, not a NATed IP, because you cannot route traffic through NAT, but you can with a static. Let's go back in here really quick. See if I can show off one of these things. Man, there's not much to see here anyways. But you can see here, so if let's say I wanted to go in and turn this off, I just click enable and then save, and it would turn off that LPR. You wouldn't be able to connect to it anymore because I just easily enable and disable it as I want. That way I can still keep the rule, but it's not working anymore. So let's say I got rid of the LPR of this box. I just click enable, save. Now that rule is not active anymore. And you can see over here when I click enable on the right side, if you pay attention to this part here, when I click enable, that goes true. When I click disable, that goes false. So it'll keep the rule in there even after the fact, and you can reconnect stuff as needed. The rule, pretty simple rule. It's just the IP of the device and the ports that it's going to use and the protocol. There's not too much that goes into the port forwarding, just like any other router. But this is definitely up your alley if you're looking to do something like hanging cameras on a construction zone. This is definitely something that would be helpful for you no one wants to climb a pole to go look at a camera. Then what's the point of the camera? Why not just hang out on the pole, right? So this is definitely something you can use to access your cameras and access your Cradlepoint remotely. You don't need to go up to the pole, and that is a game changer. That saves you probably hours, and I'd be more than say days of time. That is the end of my presentation. Once again, my name is Spencer Cooper. I work with a company called Turnkey Mobile, and thank you for your time.